See, I just finished watching GQuuuuuX like yesterday, and the ending of GQuuuuX leaves so many questions to me, like who the fuck is Shujiito, right? And because of that question, it resurrected my Gundam autism and stemmed me to like max level, bro. Like I was so fucking like locked in, like I don't even know, I had too much caffeine maybe. The question still remain in my head, and it's going through me like 3,000, and I just finished like 2 bottles of Coke Zero because I've just been thinking like, who is Shujiito, bro? Who is this kid? He said he came from the other side. That means he didn't come from the timeline of GQuuuuX, and that bogs me. Like, hold on, like we're doing multiverse storyline now, but who the fuck is you? Like, we know Lala Soon came from a splinter timeline where Char dies instead of her. But who is this kid? And what is his relationship to Lala? And is he even human? That's like the question that I need answers to. First of all, we don't even know if the Turn A Gundam is even like a normal Gundam. Is it like a normal Gundam in the sense like, you know, you need a human to actually pilot it? Or is it like a Unicorn Unit 3 situation, the Fenix, you know, where it has a cockpit, but it just absorbed the pilot, and now the pilot and the Gundam is just one thing? Like, is the Turn A Gundam even sentient? We don't know much about the Turn A Gundam because, here's the thing, the Turn A Gundam first appeared 2,000 years before the events of the series. The series takes place in a post-apocalyptic setting. Basically, humanity got reset back to the Stone Age because of the Turn A Gundam 2,000 plus years ago. We don't even know who made the Turn A Gundam. Did humans even make the damn thing? Why did it have such powerful weapons? Like, it had nukes on its chest and is powered by a black hole and has a bunch of nanites that could expand the entire solar system. Like, there's so many things that is just so overpowered about the Turn A Gundam, but we don't even know like where it came from. What was its purpose? Why did it just end civilization as we know it? To understand this theory, we must first go back to Turn A Gundam and look at what the Turn A Gundam, the series, and the robot, or the mech, or the mobile suit itself represents. So, back then, in the 90s, Yoshioki Tomino was not happy with the direction the Gundam franchise is going. He said there were too many shows that weren't a part of the Universal Century. It goes against his principle and his philosophy and his vision of the Gundam franchise. But then he had a change of heart, and he's like, you know what? Maybe it's not that bad, you know, maybe it's not that bad. So he made Turn A Gundam as a sign of acceptance for these new shows, and that's why he even put them in Turn A Gundam, you know, like the Dark History segment shows history of not just the Universal Century Gundam, but also like G Gundam, Gundam Wing, and Gundam X. But also, ironically, it's also kind of morbid, because it now suggests that, actually not just suggests, it is confirmed that all those shows will also have a canon event, and that canon event is the Turn A Gundam topic. Because the Turn A Gundam itself, the Gundam itself represents his disdain pretty much towards like everything. The motherfucker was a depressed man, bro. Like, apparently, if you want to make a successful mecha story, you need to be depressed, morbidly depressed. So he's like, he made a Gundam that is capable of destroying everything. If you look at it, the Turn A Gundam is a destroyer. It's a herald of destruction, right? It destroys everything. Even across all these other shows, it will just pop up and clean up the mess. It basically, its role is, anytime things get too far, it will pop up and destroy everything. That is the role of the Turn A Gundam originally. Now, to go to GQuuuuX, of course, we first have to understand, within the context of GQuuuuX, there's 3 timelines. The main Universal Century timeline, the Lala Soon timeline, and the GQuuuuX timeline. The first theory that I saw on Twitter that theorized the identity of Shujiito suggests that the Lala Soon in the Elmuth in GQuuuuX came from a timeline that was created by Amuro Ray. Amuro Ray from Char's counterattack after he got after he became one with the Force. You know what? I don't even, like, what do you even call the new type realm? And like, those, like, what do you even call it? Like, you know what? Just for the sake of simplicity, I'm just gonna call it the Force. So after Amuro Ray becomes one with the Force, he decided he might want to try to save Lala, you know? So he ends up going to the past and creating a branch timeline in which Lala Soon survives and Char is the one that died. Now, this theory suggests that in this new timeline, Amuro doesn't exist, and instead there's a kid named Shujiito that takes his place as the pilot of the RX-78-2. I don't like this theory for one reason. If Amuro Ray created a timeline where Lala Soon survived, you know, his love interest, why would he make a timeline in which, number 1, he's not piloting the Gundam, and number 2, she's in love with another person? Like, ain't no way my goat Amuro Ray pull a Sneeko, bro. Like, why would he create a timeline in which he doesn't exist? This theory suggests that Shujiito came from the same timeline as the Lala Soon in the Elmuth, and he's the pilot of the RX-78-2 in that timeline. It doesn't make sense! So, you know, the first theory I don't like. Second theory is that Shujiito is like this weird new type homunculus being that was created by the collective willpower of Char and Amuro, but because they're always in conflict, he himself is always conflicted, and it's like, nah, I don't buy that shit. Nah, not one bit, bruh. Not one bit, I do not buy that shit. The most possible option is that Shujiito himself is a Turn A Gundam, or is the Turn A Gundam, because again, they both serve a similar purpose. If the Turn A Gundam from the Turn A Gundam show series destroys everything, Shujiito is also partly responsible in destroying all those timelines that Lala Soon made. Because you gotta remember, Lala made a bunch of timelines to try and save Char, but somehow her idea of saving Char is basically a gacha role for new mobile suits that he could pilot. Like, she even pulled a Zura out of nowhere, and it's like, really? If you know, you know. So she eventually just decided, you know what, let's do a gotcha roll and give Char the Gundam instead, so he would not be able to get killed by the Gundam, and that is what creates the GQuuuuuX timeline. Now, what happened to those other timelines? Shuji said they collapsed, because she's still heartbroken that she couldn't save Char, so her disappointment or her heartbreak is what causes the destruction of that entire timeline. I don't buy that shit. Because he also said he followed her across all those timelines. I feel he's the one who destroyed those timelines, because he's the Turn A Gundam. You might say, well, the Turn A Gundam could only destroy technology and like organic matter. I don't know, bro. If he got supercharged by the Force or by the new type powers, who's to say he cannot destroy a timeline? The Unicorn Gundam turned back time for a bit. Who's to say the Turn A Gundam couldn't be supercharged by that shit, you know? It couldn't be charged by the new type powers, like, just for a bit to destroy an entire timeline? I mean, the fucking super weapon in GQuuuuuX could literally teleport things. So, you know, it's not outside of the realm of possibility. And thematically, it also makes sense. Because you see, the Turn A Gundam, as I said previously, is both a representation of Yoshiyuki Tomino's, the whole series and the Gundam itself is his thought process. It went from kind of a disappointment and wanting to just end all of it to basically then at the end just embracing the possible future and the direction the Gundam franchise is going. You know, it went from like a destructive thing to a hopeful thing. Shuji represents something similar. Basically, Shuji represents the unwillingness for both the franchise and its fans to just change and keep up with the times. You could see this on Twitter, especially in the Western fandom, where they're just turning into Star Wars fans, basically complaining about every single new thing that comes out of the Gundam franchise. No, we do not want to be Star Wars. No, don't be Star Wars. Especially not the fandom. Holy shit, don't be Star Wars. So, I think, especially near the end of GQuuuuuX, when Machu beheads the giant granddaddy Gundam, or symbolic of like the Gundam franchise itself, not necessarily cutting ties with its roots, but it just wants to not be bogged down and chained down by like pre-existing, I guess, expectation of the franchise, you know? Like, Machu is supposed to represent the change in the Gundam franchise, while Shuji represents like this unwillingness to change, this stagnation, basically. And we can see this because he wants Lala to be happy, but once she's taking steps to try and be happy, he's suddenly like, no, don't do that. No. And Lala represents the Gundam franchise, and Shuji represents kind of like the collective will of the people and the executives and fans and shit, you know? And he represents that every time something different happens, he just comes in and destroys it. Something comes up, and it's not the exact outcome, gets destroyed. And also, like, if you were to look at their color schemes, the color scheme of Shuji and the Turn A Gundam look very similar. Now, not the regular Turn A Gundam, but the Turn A Gundam from the Dark History with the dark purple, or like the dark purplish, dark blue color, the white, the red eyes, look very similar. You might be saying then, okay, so if Shuji is the Turn A Gundam, because they both serve a similar purpose, and might actually have the same power set, why did he came out looking like the Grandpappy Gundam when he reappeared? The same reason why Char suddenly got his one-year war outfit. Remember when Char met Machu after, you know, the scuffle that happened between him and Kashylia? And when they were going down, they both got hit by this wave of new type, the Force, and he suddenly just transforms Magical Girl style into his one-year war outfit with the helmet, the mask, and the red uniform. I believe the same thing happened to the Turn A Gundam and Shuji. Shuji tried to come in with the Turn A Gundam, but because he got hit by a wave caused by Lala, he ended up coming out looking like the Grandpappy. Because, if you didn't know, in Turn A Gundam, the Turn A is referred to as the White Doll. And then, when we have the flashback scenes of the Dark History, the characters saw the Grandpappy Gundam fighting a Zaku, and they say, hey, that's a white doll. It might be a reference to that. But basically, he came out because he's piloting a white doll. So Lala's closest, I guess, imagination is like, a Gundam is Grandpappy, right? Which could also explain how he got huge. If you didn't know, the Turn A Gundam has a bunch of nanites that could repair itself, and also a bunch of nanites that could destroy everything, right? It would make sense if it was still the Turn A Gundam technically, but visually it looked like Grandpa's, and to power up, he just used all the nanites that he has to make himself huge. So it makes sense that if he just like deployed his nanites to make himself look huge. Because even the crew of the Xeon White base set, it's not some sort of projection. This motherfucker is actually getting huge. He's gaining mass. I don't know about you, but when something gains mass, it means it becomes a physical thing. Like, he physically got huge. He also had wings, like the new type lightning thing in the back that kind of looked like wings. You know what I mean? That might be explained because he was deploying the Moonlight Butterfly to also just destroy the entire timeline with everything else and just kill Lala at the same time, because, you know, the Moonlight Butterfly could do that. So that has been my TED Talk on the theory that Shujiito might be the Turn A Gundam. Because number one, thematically and symbolically, they're very similar to one another. Both the Turn A Gundam and Shujiito represents both the fans and the franchise itself in its current state. They're both the destroyers of things and fuck shit up. And secondly, because it would explain a lot of the super robotness of the ending of GQuuuuuX. I mean, how else could you explain that shit? Or I could just be chatting out of my ass and been talking shit for like the past 20 minutes. Either or, you know what I mean? Thank you, 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 thank you.